say that the best approach to a balanced retirement was to have a company pension, Social Security, and your own personal savings. But company pensions are on their way out if they haven't been eliminated already through your employer. And Social Security is kind of on the rocks, as we know that's going to be running out of money, and we're already running big deficits without having Social Security to add on top of it. So that's kind of in question. So that leaves us with personal savings. So the new three legs are to have personal savings that include tax-free savings, which would be your Roth IRA, tax-deferred, which would be your 401k or your IRA, and after-tax, which is what you would be saving in a personal savings or in a brokerage account. When you were retired, you'll be able to draw from all three legs to be able to craft retirement income that is minimizing your taxes, so that you could take some of it from tax-free, which of course is going to have no tax implications, some of it from after-tax, which has already been taxed, but there may be some minor, and then some of it from your tax-deferred, which would all be taxed, so that you can craft the tax bracket that you want to be in, minimize your taxes, or possibly even eliminate them altogether. You know, it's easier to save in a tax-deferred account because you get the immediate tax benefits of having your income reduced. It hasn't been as big of a factor because we've been in an environment for the last 25 years where tax rates have been going down, going down, going down. The most recent big tax cuts, 2001 and 2003, are now going to expire next year. So tax rates are automatically going to go up if Congress just doesn't do anything. Healthcare reform has already raised taxes by creating an additional tax on investment income. Now, currently, that's only on singles making more than $200,000 or couples making more than $250,000, but they're not going to be able to balance all these huge deficits that they're running on the backs of just 5% of the population. So I think that that's going to be trickling down to everyone. So where before we just could merely tax defer and be in a lower tax bracket when we're retired, that is not going to happen for people today unless they plan for it today. And this is one of the best years to be doing your planning because this is the last year of the Bush tax cuts, and there's some special tax treatment that's probably going to go away, or it's going to go away for at least some of us. Until they change the rules, we will factor it in the way it is now. And personally, what I think is going to happen is that Social Security will be saved, but we won't all be getting it. It's going to have to be means tested. It's already means tested today, because if you're a joint filer, so husband and wife filing a tax return, and you have less than $50,000 of income, including your Social Security, you don't pay tax on any of it. But if you have $100,000 of income, you pay tax on 85% of it. That's means testing. Essentially, they're taking some of your Social Security back in the form of taxes. And I think that's just going to increase or accelerate. And just like now they've created this extra tax on investment income, why not have an extra tax on Social Security income for those who make more than $200,000 or $250,000 or wherever that threshold is going to be? So I think that Social Security will be saved. We'll figure a way of saving it, but it's going to be more and more means tested, and it's really going to be almost like a welfare program, so only for the lower income. For those that are afraid of stocks, I wish it wasn't. I wish there was someplace else that we could go, but there just isn't, because your biggest, I don't want to call it an obstacle, but threat to your retirement is not the volatility of the stock market, it's inflation. You know, even at moderate inflation, 3 to 3.5%, for a couple that is age 65 today, they have a joint life expectancy of 30 years. One of them is going to live to be 95. And that's probably conservative, considering the advances in medicine that's going to happen in the next 30 years we don't even know about. You go back 30 years, so let's go back to 1980. What was the price of a house in 1980? It was about $65,000. You know, today it's $180,000. A stamp was probably about 14 cents, and today it's 44 cents. Gasoline was certainly under $1, and today it's almost $3. So your cost of living is going to continue to accelerate. And fixed income investments today, what people think of as safe, like CDs or Treasury bonds, are only paying 3%. So they're losing money just in inflation, even without paying taxes. We have to own stocks, and we need to have probably at least half of your money in stock. But if you can embrace that and accept it, you need to always have half your money in stocks, which means there's some years when you're going to wish you didn't have any, and you need to stick with it. The market's going up, and so let's take the 1990s. So the market's going up, the market's going up, the market's going up, and people are making 20, 25%, and all you hear around the water cooler is how much money I made in your 401k, and you finally think, gosh, I can't stand it anymore, and now you dump your money into stocks, and probably now you're trying to play catch-up because you missed out, so now you're much more aggressive than what you ever would have been to begin with, and now the market goes down. The minute you buy in, the market's going to go down, and it goes down, and of course you think, okay, it's going to come back, and it doesn't, and it's going to come back, and it doesn't. And so now through 2000, 2001, 2002, the market goes down 3 years in a row, and finally you throw the towel and you think, gosh, I can't stand this anymore. I've lost a third of my retirement account. And so now you sell, and you're sitting there in fixed income, and the market goes up. And it goes up, and the same pattern repeats itself. And finally you get back in, and so you continually buy high and sell low. And it's not about investment expenses. It's not about commissions. It's not about index funds versus actively managed funds or buying the right stocks. It's about having a strategy that is broad-based so that we're not putting big bets on anything, which means we're never going to be killed by something, but we're never going to make a killing either. Broad-based strategy, and we're going to stick with it. Good times, bad times, we're going to keep this strategy. If it's half in stocks, half in bonds, whatever it is, we're always going to maintain that strategy because the stock market's going to overcome whatever it is the crisis du jour is, like it always has. Don't do anything else investment-wise until you have a strategy. If you're not retired, when you're going to retire, how much money that you need, what kind of return do we have to achieve in order to meet those goals? Because once we know what the return is, now we know what the strategy is. So if we need an 8% return, that's 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds. And if we need a 9% return, it's probably 75-25. We don't want to take any more risk than what we need to in order to achieve our goals. But we need to do that as projections and do that planning ahead of time so that we know that we're on the right course. And some years we're not going to be where we're supposed to be because the market didn't cooperate. But then there'll be years like 2009 when the market's up 40-some% that more than makes up for that. Book website is the new Three-Legged Stool.com. The new Three-Legged Stool.com. There you can read about the book. You can read about our investment strategies. And very importantly, you can also sign up for the monthly newsletter, which is an update on all the strategies that are talked about in the book. The strategies need to be updated whenever tax law changes, and that seems to be like every other month.